Greetings and welcome to RPL Formula 1 Tier 2, and it is round number 5 of the Tier 2 season. And we're here in Spain. I'm your commentator, RhinoCon31, and it is good to have everybody join us for, well, for me, the second week in a row. Commentating for everyone else, it's the 5th round of the season. So it is good to have everybody here who is watching, racing, managing the league, and doing whatever they need to. Let's go over a bit of last week, okay? So it was Japan, round number 4 of the season. What a comeback from Owen last week. Coming back, winning the race. I mean, he had no choice last week when it came to the pit stops. What happened was Owen ended up being behind the safety car when the pit stops were happening due to the timing of it, and that allowed second place on back to pit. He got trapped behind the safety car. And with that said, hold on. Sorry about that. With that said, I was going to say how, with the case of the safety car, he got trapped behind it, got put outside the points, and because of that, he ended up recovering, having to drive through the field. He had the help of one safety car after that, maybe two. Got put to about 7th, then was about 2nd. Then, once the pit stops happened again, he was 4th after the late race restart. Took advantage of 2 and 1, and then it was just a matter of time until the leaders. We had the little crash late between the leaders, first and second. It was the driver who was ahead of Owen for the longest time. I'm trying to remember so badly who is who. It's going to take me just a little bit. I'll tell you that. But the thing about it is, the first guy who stayed out ended up having to defend, went wide. Whoever was in 3rd, I want to say it was Bonkers, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it. That's why I'm not sitting here and saying definitively who I think it was and wasn't. That's why something like that is beneficiary for me to get used to everybody. But with that said, though, 1st and 3rd there from the restart collided, and it basically allowed Owen to go through. A matter of time, just was going to happen. So that was the results for it last week. 2nd and 3rd ended up changing after the race, after Minions ended up appealing a penalty that he had got from the game. That put him P2. Bonkers ended up being P3. Valkyrie F1, I got it wrong last week. I'll get it right this week. She ended up being penalized after some contact on the track. Gave her either a 3 or a 5 second. Don't remember which one. Not gonna lie. I think it was 3, but ended up changing the results of the podium, meaning McLaren, they ended up getting their first podium of the Tier 2 season. Haas still ended up getting a 2nd podium there. So, nothing changed there. But with McLaren, that now means 5 different teams on the podium. 7 different drivers on the podium, with that said, and your championship standings heading into this week, by the way. Here you go. Owen ahead of Groggers by 5 points. That is a DNF from the McLaren already in this qualifying session. We'll get to the qualifying session in just a moment. We started a little early, so I'm going over everything just quickly here. Owen, 5-point lead over Groggers. Both teammates, so it's the Red Bull duo fighting it out. The next person back is Minions. Minions switching from McLaren to Alpine. 18 points back, that's the next one. And 3rd on back, a little bit of a battle. Red Bull have a 56-point lead now in the championship. With that said, it was 56 points making the difference at the top of the table between Red Bull and Ferrari. That means a big battle now for 3rd place on back. Alpine, you have to have a podium, but they end up maintaining the 3rd spot with that said. So, Grandpa will be the first one to complete a lap, and the time to beat will be a 12-1 from the Ferraris, and becomes a 11-6. So yeah, with that said, Ferrari won the first 2 races, Red Bull ended up winning the next 2, and now the quest becomes, will there be Ferrari who win a 3rd race, Red Bull who win a 3rd race, or will there be a 3rd different team now winning a race? That will be all found out. Last week, I commentated F2 as well. That was in Monza. Chaotic race there for the F2 guys. Sprint race was a little hectic. Feature race was hectic, but a lot more cleaner, to say the least, if you want a little summary of that. And Tier 1 had some rain in Miami. And speaking of rain, yes, I have not let it go under the radar. There is some rain in the race, from what the drivers are saying. Big thing to focus on. But it looks like it's not going to be for too long, from what the drivers are saying. So with that said, let's go over a couple of things before we get to some hot laps, by the way. Team changes, you can see a couple of them on the leaderboard. Grandpa last week was in the Haas. This week he is in the Ferrari. I would assume that's with a change with instincts. RPL Titan back on the track after a little vacation. He is in the Alfa Romeo for this week. Lando Norris, we previously saw him in the Aston Martin. He is in the Williams. I have to say, as we're going to watch the end of Lando's lap here, big credit to Lando. Not many of the RPL racers know this, but yesterday around this time he was in the hospital. That was due to sunburn and stuff like that. I don't really know the definitive word for it. I'd have to look back at the chats to find the word for it, but don't say anything about not having sunscreen on. He had sunscreen on, and it just wasn't effective. And to show the fact that Lando Norris is racing today in RPL shows that dedication from our racers here in this league, and not only dedication from racers in this league, but racers amongst all the leagues. To be racing in that kind of condition, you know, he didn't think he was going to be racing today, hurt so badly, you know, all that kind of stuff, and for Lando to be racing today, props to him for sure. Another change as well that I noticed on the board with some of our drivers, JTK, Alfa Romeo to Mercedes. So there you have it, minions as well, McLaren to Alpine. No other changes that I can definitively say on the board. Sam Steed returns this week, but he is returning back to the Haas instead of the Alfa Romeo. So that's a little change as well, by the way. Ferrari Academy, we spoke about them last week with Alfa Romeo. After some penalties, it was JTK ended up getting P10. It was a penalty from Grandpa, going from P7 to P11. So that promoted JTK, that big Alfa Romeo battle we were talking about with the teammates. You know, how they kept overtaking each other. After a while, it kept seeming like those guys were fighting it out. And after each mistake, it ended up promoting the other one ahead of the other. And it was just a lot of fun watching that battle in the midfield. You know, I know we talk about a lot of the guys such as the Ferraris, the Mercedes, the Red Bulls, and all the competitive cars out here. But don't let it go under the radar. The guys in the back market cars or the midfield cars. We won't let that go under the radar under the Tier 2 streams for sure. So with that said, it should be interesting to find out when the rain is for the race. Bonkers on an out lap. Let's watch this. 1:11.6. That's your time to beat. Spain went under some track changes from game to game. The track change that was focused on this time was the last chicane getting executed pretty much. Last game it was, I believe, yeah, I just had to think of the turn. Turn 11. Just want to make sure I'm right. Yeah, turn 10 actually. It used to be turn 11 technically with the way it was. I don't know, but that changed from the way it was. It was made a lot wider on last game. This game, it was the chicane being taken out. So now the last corner is turn 14, which we'll be watching if the drivers are balls to the walls in their hot laps here. Are they flat out? Are they not? Let's watch Bunkers and where he's at in the sector. How about a 10th.5 up right now? You know, Ferrari ended up taking technically pole in F1 today with Verstappen's grid penalty Now can Bunkers extend that gap on top of pole? There we go. Turn 13, turn 14. Is he full throttle? Yes, he is. Look at that. Amazing setup. Bit of front wing there going off and flying in the air, but it is Bunkers. 11.3 extends that gap. It is 7/10 ahead of his next competitor of JTK. How about that? We have not seen a lot from the Red Bulls yet. Let's go on board with them and watch what they can do to take away that pole position. Yeah, so track changes in Spain, as we mentioned. Chat, let us know how the quality is of the stream and how the audio is. I'll be honest, I hate this mic. I feel like with Twitch it doesn't help it, for sure. But yeah, just let me know how things are, and let me know who you guys are rooting for. You know, some engineers may wanna let me know who they are rooting for as well. Minions goes up to 3rd place right there on the leaderboard. Here is Gruggers going through turn 1, 2, and now turn 3. Look at the amount of deployment that is used throughout the beginning of the lap. That is something we'll watch when it comes to race time. First sector, 2/10 up. So you know when Gruggers put down his banker lap, there was a lot of time to find. And now we are just seeing how much that's being exposed right here on the Red Bull's lap. Out of turn number 5 this time. Turn 6, and you're coming to the ending parts of Sector 2 here. Yellow flags behind him. That's for some drivers letting each other go. As we come to the sector split, it is going to be still a tenth, almost 2/10 up on his time, so he'd be ahead of his teammate, and that's it. And his teammate also is on a flyer too. More drivers coming to the line now, whether that is to start a lap or to finish lap, we won't know, but what we do know is Gruggers is coming to finish the lap in the final corner, not full throttle, letting off a ton right there. Here we go, to the start-finish line, it will be a 1/10.5 improvement almost. So, not ahead of his teammate as we maybe expected. Grandpa as well, an improvement. A Ferrari 1-2, it makes it once again. 2/10 now that gap is, and let's go on board with Owen. Is Owen improving is going to be our question. Will he go full throttle in the last corner? Unlike his teammate, no, he's aborting the lap and pitting. So a mistake maybe on that lap, and maybe just going to prepare for the last lap, maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. Now, JTK is going to be starting a flyer. Speed's going into turn 1. It's incredible. So, going over F2 from this past weekend, Stenner ended up winning one of the races. Stenner wasn't the only driver to win from F2 as well. The other winner this past weekend in F2 was Tadpole. And in Tier 1 you had Scyther, Skither, whatever. Skither, and the Ferrari winning the race. I should really focus on name pronunciation. However, in the middle sector, it is 4.5 of an improvement here by JTK. Can he challenge for that front row now and take it off of Grandpa? Is he going to go balls to the walls with his Mercedes car in the final corner? Yes, he will. Coming to the start-finish line. What's this lap going to be? It is an 11.5. It is to the front row by just 100th. That's how he splits the Ferraris with 6 minutes remaining. Strat Racer yet to set a lap in the Aston Martin. Sam Steed's been disqualified from the session. That will get him starting at the back of the grid. It is Strat Racer going to the top 10. How about 7th for his Aston Martin? Sam Steed, one of 2 drivers going to start at the back of the grid. Anos and the McLaren was the other one going to start at the back of the grid. After everything that has happened so far in the session. Jim Bob. Coasting back to the pit lane, out of fuel in the McLaren. Also invalidated his lap time, so either he caught to get back to the pit lane or he was already invalidated on that lap previously. How about one of our backmarker drivers? Like I said, we won't go without mentioning a backmarker driver or a driver who is struggling. How about Blue Goggy around? And is he out of this session? No, he's not. He's still going to be in it. He struggled a lot in F2, and he was not in the race last week for Tier 2, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. Hold on, was he? Just going to double check. No, he was in Tier 2 last week, I believe. Now that I remember. Let's double check. I don't want to, not be 100% on this one. Yeah, Blue Goggy was not in the race last week. He was in the race for F2. My bad. I'll do a lot more studying for this race. I do have a lot of notes written down for those of you wondering. And speaking of that, for your drivers, want a strategy? Well, it is soft to hard, medium to hard. Hard to medium, hard to soft. I know it's not going to matter too much with the rain, but it goes to show that the hards can go a long way. 0.5 of an improvement in the middle sector there by Owen. He can go up to the second row if things stand the way they are. However, shifting gears, 4th, 5th, that deployment is running out completely. Is it going to go full throttle here by the last corner? No. Let's off just a little though. Coming to the line now. What's it going to be? It is an 11.6, so just off of the front row. 4th place on the board. Like I did say, by the way, we wouldn't go without mentioning our backmarker drivers or drivers who have struggled this weekend or this season. One of those drivers being Blue Goggy. And it has to be said in the point standings that he does not have any points to his name at all. Alfa Romeo are currently on the back few rows of the grid as well. That should not go without notice because the constructor standings fights, yes, we're not going to go without talking about that. They're currently last. 6 points on the board for their season. Looking for a bit better. You know, and with AlphaTauri's podium 2 weeks ago now in Imola, if it weren't for that, they'd be last in the constructors standings right now. So just that's the difference it can make with some of these results with these guys, and kind of what the team principals focus on. Speaking of team principals, we're going to speak about Alpine. How about that that firing there from next week onwards with Marstaffner? I'm a big Alpine fan myself, and I'm a big Ocon fan myself. I'll be honest, nothing disappoints me anymore. I'll be honest, but their car is more of the problem, if I'm going to be honest. Speaking of their car, they have their car in the session 5th and 8th, so they should be happy with where they're at, the Alpine boys. Either way, let's focus on the last 2 minutes of the session on the track completely. Valkyrie F1, can she get any more higher on the board? Ooh, a little slide, more of a slide. It's not going to be much an improvement this time by Valkyrie. And it is going to be coming back to the pit lane. That is it, but it could be hitting the pit wall if she's not careful. And that is it. That is the end of her session completely. Missed the pit lane there, and that's exactly what that does. Invade coming to the board, or coming to the line to start a lap. We'll go on board with him, unless there's any mistakes. Cars coming out of the pit lane, the Ferraris, Grandpa being one of them, or no, sorry, Bonkers being one of them. Excuse me, that's Grandpa. Grandpa and Bonkers both coming out of the pit lane. If you're an engineer, let your driver know. Get your ass out on the track right now because it is going to be 90 seconds remaining and you won't have a time to set on the board to improve within the last couple of moments of this qualifying session. Bonkers now coming through turn 5 and now going to be a little bit of a chicane here with turns 6 and 7. Have to nail this one right. A lot more curbing and a lot more treacherous curbing in this game cycle. This one's trickier to get. You have to nail it. You just have to go on the right line, hit the apex perfectly, and you can do it. Invade 2/10 up on his time. Purple to the middle sector for himself. And a little bit of a slide, but he's got a lot of traffic here in the final sector in front of him. Look at this. The Williams gonna get in his way, and that's almost contact between the Haas and the Williams. That was either FPL or Lando. That was Lando Norris. However, Invade's gonna come to the checkered flag, and that surely hurt him. It did. Only 12th fastest. I don't think there was a position improved. Wow. Grandpa, we're going to go on board with him in the Ferrari on his final flying lap. Drivers coming to the checkered flag for their final flying laps as 27 seconds remain. This is it if you want to set a lap and get yourself onto pole position. A reminder that last week, Owen won from 3rd on the grid. Turn 3, you can take it many different lines. Grandpa took it that way this time and that way. Improved from 19 thousandths, but he has made a mistake and gone off. He saw the Alfa Romeo off the track in front of him, and he's made a mistake as well. Strat Racer out of the session. Bonkers couldn't make it to the line. Checkered flag. Blue Goggy has got a 5-place grid penalty for a collision with, that is the Aston Martin of Strat Racer. So Goggy, if he wasn't going to start at the back of the grid already, he's going to start even farther down in the grid. Checkered flag out. Let's see who is improving. Groggers, by the end of the sector, is just not improving. Let's go with somebody who is improving, though. Grandpa will be first to the checkered flag. How about Titan retiring from the session and improvements from Lando? 10th place, but that will go to the steward's office from the blocking between him and the Haas of Invade. And Grandpa has called it quits with that lap. Pit lane he goes. So, who is going to improve from behind that? Owen, first to the checkered flag. Can Owen go pole? Owen slides across the line. He cannot go pole. JTK next across the line. Can JTK take pole off Bonkers on the Ferrari? Coming to the line. No, he cannot. Groggers, you mentioned I mentioned as well the lack of improvement from him. I think he aborted that lap completely. Nothing from him. Invalidation from Shanghai. Blue Goggy crashed. Invalidation, grid penalty as well. So it will see Bonkers, a Ferrari, back on pole once again. By 2/10. The 11.3 was the time to beat. And there you have it. That is what decided pole position. Very close from 2nd to 4th. But the downforce in Spain has helped those Ferraris. They're starting 1 and 3. Bonkers on pole. And if you want anything to help your championship, well, how about that? If he's looking for the championship, well, this is what it's going to do it. If he continues like this, it would promote him up to 3rd in the championship. Last week it was Aston Martin, Mercedes, and Red Bull within a 10th at the front of the grid. This week it's really between the top 4. It's 2.5, well, a little over 2.5 tenths, I think. But Bonkers separates the grid by 2 tenths there. How about that? Titan says he lost it on turn 9, and that is what cost him his lap. So here, there you have it. Chat, let us know who you are rooting for today. There's 18 of you watching. Who are you engineering as well, if you are an engineer on the grid? Jack Miles rejoining the session, but anyway, here is your starting lineup. Bonkers, JTK, your front row. Grandpa and Owen make up the 2nd row. Groggers running out the top 5. Red Bull, the teammates, separated by 4 tenths right there. Minions, Strat Racer, Matt, Valkyrie F1, and Lando Norris round out your top 10. Some interesting teams back there. You have an Aston Martin. You have 2 McLarens back there. Sam Steed, I don't know if he chose to start at the back of the grid or not, but watching Haas come from the back of the grid should be interesting, though. Considering the fact that last week Haas got a podium with Bonkers, considering the previous week Haas got a podium with Polo, Haas are also 5th in the Constructors' Championship, so they will be looking to do anything they can to improve their position in the championship, and it is raining currently. However, it looks like it will be Inters. Sam got low fuel and got himself stuck, so I was told. If that is the case, though, not ideal for the Ferrari Academy. Red Bull Academy has to be happy with themselves to at least have different conditions for the race with the gap they had. Mercedes Academy with JTK have to be happy with themselves to get themselves splitting the Ferraris. They must be happy with that one. And now time for the race. However, of course, we have the grace period before where everyone gets in their strategy, no one readies up. You know the usual. I may be new here as a commentator, but with that said, it doesn't change for me because I've watched so many races before here to where I know how it goes with that kind of thing. Here we go. Time for the 5 red lights. Waiting for the drivers to rev it up. And it is not lights out. What in the world is going on? Here we go. I think it's fixing itself. Now it is. What in the world? Well, that's another glitch to add to the F1 game right there with what just happened. Okay. Now we're getting people to ready up. There we go. I don't know what that was. But what it did show is that Blue Goggy was the first one to ready up, if you're looking for that. Thought red flags were fixed. Well, there you go. That is sort of the reason behind it. Now, here we go, counting it down. Let's watch for the start. Here we go. Let's take attempt number 2. 5 red lights, once again. They rev it up. And we are go, go, go for the Spanish Grand Prix. The Ferrari gets up the line well, and he's going to have to cover the Mercedes. How about 3 wide from the Red Bull? That is Owen splitting them. And Sam Steed with the glitch already, retiring from the session. His day is over. There's contact for second. Owen. You can see cars going off to the back as well. The Williams is off. The Haas is off. Multiple cars with damage and multiple cars losing places. There was cars going to the runoff. However, as I was mentioning, Owen's second place right there gets outdueled by the Ferrari with contact. JTK lost a couple places as well. It is all kicking off at the start. Blue Goggy gaining so many positions at the start. He's almost in the top 10. Side by side between them. And it now says lap 3 on the boards. Okay. Well, that's very interesting. And it's now dry. This is a very glitchy game. However, Blue Goggy having to defend off Anas, who started at the back of the grid. Side by side between them now for what is 12th place. You can see the different strategies now put on the leaderboard. 3 guys on hards. The rest on either soft or medium. And Blue Goggy gets overtaken right there. But back to the front of the grid, it is Bonkers who leads the Grand Prix. Yeah, why is it lap 4 already? This is glitched. Okay. Good to know, but here we go. Battle for second place. Now turn 2. Side by side, the Red Bull and Ferrari just touching wheels a little bit. It is going to be Grandpa staying ahead there of Owen. JTK's getting in the mix now as well. He's waiting in the wings. How about Owen back down the inside? Now for turn 4. Battling it out. Inside line. Oh, there's more contact. Just a little. You can see it there. Side by side once again. It is going to be Grandpa breaking latest and getting ahead and staying ahead. How about Owen still challenging this back? And Owen late on the brakes. How about that for a beautiful overtake? And 2 positions gained, speaking of overtaking, and 3 positions gained for Valkyrie from the start of this race, 3 positions for Jim Bob, 5 for Anas, and like I said, good start from the Alfa Romeo boys. Down the inside goes Groggers, side by side between the Mercedes and the Red Bull. Groggers gonna hold it around the outside line. This is gonna set him perfectly for turn 13. However, JTK still holding on the inside, pinching one another, and it is gonna be JTK getting the upper edge on the Red Bull. It is now a second lead as we're gonna reach lap number 5 in this race. Valkyrie F1, fastest lap in this race. It is going to be changing by the moment, it looks like, on the fastest laps. Here comes Grandpa, just not close enough for an overtake on the Red Bull. The Red Bull with so much straight line speed. It's going to be hard to overtake a Red Bull on that straight. This DRS here from, well, this not DRS just yet, but this DRS battle, what will be DRS out of turn 9 this time, goes all the way from 2nd place all the way back to 7th place on this leaderboard. So very interesting stuff to look out for when it comes to later in the lap and so on. Yellow flags, that is that's the Alfa Romeo Blue Goggy, who had a good start, now is spun off, and it did not take long for Blue Goggy to have something go wrong. That's been the way of his races, whether it's to his own doing or not. Here we go. DRS enabled for Grandpa. 3rd place in this race, trying to find some time on Owen. Behind that, Valkyrie and Groggers. Valkyrie getting the upper edge on Groggers. Groggers, a Red Bull, falling back. It has not been the start for him. Look at this. I know he's lost 1 place, but with that said, you're in a Red Bull. It's not good when that happens. Titan Iron Wolf, that is the 2nd Alfa Romeo to go off in this lap. So not a good start for them. And here we go, DRS now, 2nd place is Owen. Grandpa trying to take that away. Groggers as well. Like I said, he's in a Red Bull. But the big thing to focus on is the fact he's in a Red Bull and he's trying to challenge for position. But his teammate Owen, who's who would be challenged for that championship lead by Gruggers, is just going to extend that championship lead at this rate with how we're going. So not good. That GRS train now goes back to 9th place in this race. Jim Bob and Matt caught up. And that is exactly what happens when you have a lot of battling on the racetrack. Going over the curbs, they're going to lose some time there. His grandpa not going to help himself for turn 10 right there. So we saw the positions gained. Let's see the positions between the leader and everyone else. And that is Blue Goggy out of the race, and that's going to cause the first safety car of this race. Luckily this week, everyone will have the chance to pit if they want to for hard tires, or make it a 2-stop potentially. Owen is the one to pit in the Red Bull. He's going to bring a couple with him, Tret Racer being one of them. And Blue Goggy just... it's a misery. It's a misery for Blue Goggy. So Owen will be going to the hard tires. So will Tret Racer in the pit lane, as well as the other Aston Martin of Shanghai. Mythic, Invade also pit as well. I'd assume they were waiting it out from the front wing damage, potentially, if they didn't pit already. I couldn't tell. I didn't look if they were pitting already. Let me just check to be 100%. For Shanghai, it's a second pit stop. Yeah, it's all their second pit stops. My bad. Sam C not happy with the way his race gone. He was telling me earlier before this race how he had some pace. He was feeling like this was going to be a good race, and then just got screwed over by the game right there. That's exactly what happens. So what this race has done, it's put the 2 Ferraris out front, the 2 Mercedes in the top 5, back to back, and then Gruggers. Will this help him? Will this hurt him? For the championship's sake? I know it's silly for me to hype up a championship battle between 2 teammates, in a sense, but at the same time, the gap is only 5 points, and there is 6 races remaining after today, so not always will it be the case that you get 2 teammates in the fight for a championship. Maybe in a realistic league you will, but it's not always the case that that kind of thing happens. And you know, 6 races left, a shorter season for Tier 2, so less races, more crucial the points are. Big thing to focus on with these drivers. And the Ferraris, you know, they're trying to get themselves back in it. Bunkers, 21 points back. Don't forget about him. Mythic as well, making another trip to the pit lane. He's on medium tires. I don't think this is the tire he wants to be on, unless he picked up front wing damage and we don't know about it. It is hard tires, so definitely not the tire you wanted to be on there. Titan says, tiny wheel spin in turn 10, get it back, but got spun by Mythic. So that is what happened at the start of the race between them. Not only the start itself, but, you know, onwards. You know, I mean, we saw a lot of cars going off, and a lot of cars having to use the runoff due to not wanting to cause collision. Some ended up avoiding collision, others didn't. We saw an Alpine was one of them that went off to avoid trouble. A Williams FBL was the one that went around. Mythic had contact as well. Blue Goggy got through it and gained positions, but we see what's happened to him later on. Sam C couldn't even start the race. It's just, some drivers get more unluckier than others, but also some drivers are also in those positions. You could also maybe make that comment. Maybe harsh, but it's also a harsh reality too at the same time. To some extent. 13 viewers, let us know who you are rooting for in this race and what you think the outcome will be, as there are 25 laps remaining and we will get a restart this time. A little bit of a late call, but with the new safety car restart zone, because of the last corner being altered, when does leader go of bunkers? Safety car is about to enter the pit lane just now, so we should see him going just a little bit, picking up the pace, and now he's pedal to the metal. Green flag is back in the air for our race leader, and he leads his teammate by 4/10. And it is now time to get yourself going and get yourself overtaking. Gruggers is going to be the first one, ducking to the left side. It is Valkyrie F1 and him side by side. Around the outside, the Red Bull's trying to go. Really get the traction now for turn 2. Valkyrie just a little bit wide. Side by side once again. Now is it a switchback for Groggers. Groggers going to go have the inside line for turn 4. Is he going to go for a diving to the inside? Nope. Makes Valkyrie think, though. She's going to have to think a little bit longer to defend that position over the Red Bull, who is the faster driver. And Lando Norris dueling it out here with Minions. Williams versus Alpine. It is going to be Minions who gets the upper edge for now. Down the order goes Invade, off the road. No front, well, front wing damage. I was going to say no front wing for a moment. It looked like it from the side view, but he just hurt his chance for maybe some points after a pit stop. Titan picks up the first 3-second time penalty of the race. And now we continue to battle it out. Both the McLaren boys go at it. Owen trying to recover from the hard guys. First one on fresher tires. Down the inside. Banging wheels with the McLaren. Now trying to bang wheels once again with the other McLaren. That is Jim Bob this time. And it is going to be Owen. 2-1 with the McLarens. How about that? Now the McLaren's battling it out. Anas and Jim Bob. Fighting it out. And here we go. Valkyrie F1. Groggers. Groggers gets the edge, goes ahead, Invade now, calls it quit in the pit lane, and Jim Bob as well, overtaken by his teammate, a little bit of an issue with traction or whatever it may be from turn 2. He's now getting the challenge from Minions, Trat Racer behind as well, almost a bit of contact right there. Ooh, side by side once again, 3-way battle, make it 4-way with Lando waiting in the wings. Side by side there. Oh, bit of contact there at turn number 5. And it is Trat Racer ahead for now, but Minions fighting this back once again. And the battling just never ends up stopping. They have battling all throughout the field. And now the Alpine of Matt trying to challenge back Owen on those hard tires. Can't get much of it. Owen, the highest guy when it comes to the best runners on fresh tires. We are now about to enter the second third of this race. Second of the 3 stages. So there you have it. Ferraris up front, 4/10 now the gap between the leaders. And they have made themselves a little bit of comfort between the teammates ahead of JTK, who is only 5/10 ahead of Groggers, but a second back from them, meaning no DRS whatsoever. Here we go, big battle again. 9th place, Jim Bob does get overtaken there this time by Trat Racer. Now, is Jim Bob gonna fight this back for turn number 4? Doesn't look like it just yet. And now you've got a big battle once again. Lando Norris, sliding there from the Williams. Been in this battle with Shanghai, Minions. Behind that, Titan Iron Wolf getting overtaken by Mythic. These two collided earlier in the race. Titan letting them go right there, I think. The Ferrari's back out front. Well, not yet, J&T. There's some battling going on first, I will say. So once we get some intense battling, then maybe we can have a little bit of intense commentary from it. Titan Iron Wolf is retired from the session. Crashed out there at turn number 9. It's going to cause the second safety car in this race, and that is Groggers electing to go to the pit lane. He's going to get the upper edge from the safety car because guess what? Look at where the safety car comes out once again. Owen gets the luck this time, unlike Japan, and it is double stack from the Red Bulls. Spinning in the pit lane is the McLaren. That's Anas. Does not help his case, who was fighting for points. But really, everyone from 7th on back, I guess now in this race, or, you know, it really was originally 4th on back, pitting. Some drivers electing to stay out. FBL has to, being on the hard tires from the initial start. You have no other choice. You have to extend it and hope for something else to go your way. Lando got jumped there in the pit lane, I think, and either jumped Minions or got jumped. I couldn't tell right there. But with Titan Iron Wolf retiring from the race, it is Anas, who is the only driver with a penalty left in this race. Or at least the only driver to have a penalty in this race. So yeah, with the safety car coming out, this kind of hinders Ferrari's strategy. Well, not kind of, it really does. Especially if there's no more safety cars. Mediums for Groggers, mediums for Owen, mediums for Matt, Jim Bob, Mythic as well. The rest of the guys who pitted, Anas, Lindo, minions, all on hards. Fresh hards, may I add as well. And fresh mediums. Should be worth mentioning, especially if they get in a battle between any of the guys in the top 4 or FBL who have not pitted in this race. Rears overheated is the cause of Titan's DNF. And there you go. A little bit of team game at Ferrari. Grandpa pitting, Bunkers not. JTK pitting, and there is Valkyrie as well. Gonna double stack with a teammate of JTK in the pit lane. So there you go. 3 drivers getting out of the way of the, I'll call it net leaders now, but that promotes Bonkers to the lead, Trat Racer to second, and the other Aston Martin behind Trat Racer, Shanghai, to the top 3. FBL yet to pit as well, track position, playing its game as well throughout time. You know, I can't blame them. You're going to probably piss some drivers off maybe if you hold them up. And you're racing them, not in the same strategy. But it makes total sense because you're the only guy who's stayed out in this position on hards. And you have to extend and hope for another safety car to kind of help your race. In order to get yourself out there and try something out of the ordinary. You can't blame him, but it's definitely going to shift gears between him and his teammate Lando. But it's the big thing we focus on in this teammate, this league, excuse me. Where are you performing in consideration of your teammate? That's the question. Are you performing in a sense to where you're beating your teammate? Are you performing in a sense to where you're level with your teammate? Or are you trying different strategies compared to your teammate? We know the Mercedes boys, they just pitted, well, I say Mercedes boys, Mercedes guys and girls, excuse me. I can't go another week with misgendering somebody, but they ended up, both Mercedes teammates, they ended up choosing the same strategy, both pitting for the hards, coming from the back of the grid. The Ferraris are now split up. They were 1 and 2. Now you have Grandpa, back of the grid, not track position now, on the fresher hards. Bonkers leading the safety car restart as it comes in, staying out, now again foot to the floor, and green flag once again as he leads the Aston Martins ahead of the front of the field. And look at that slipstream already for the race lead. Look at this! Trat Racer, enough momentum, good restart from him. The outside line is Bonkers going to challenge us by turn 1. The Aston Martin goes wide, but it is going to be pinching by turn 2 and maybe again by turn 3. Side by side, wheel to wheel. Oh, sliding! Oh my goodness! Somehow he kept that car straight and he's now going to get overtaken by his teammate. Grogers overtook FBL right there quickly on the restart. Now Grogers going to go for 2, maybe 3 and 1. To the outside. Grogers around the outside, going to push the issue. Still touching wheels, and he gets ahead. How about 3 drivers from the start of that restart? Taking advantage of everything he could. Look at behind them. Going off, there's the Williams. That's FBL into the gravel. All kicking off in this restart. Look at this. And Asa had a Trat Racer as well. FBL letting the drivers go, so that did not play out the way he wanted to. But Owen down the inside. Big move. Big late lunge from the Red Bull. Getting the move done. Grandpa as well, trying to gain spots on Jim Bob. Does it as well. Anos, just remember, he has a penalty as well, so that's big when it comes to this top 5 race. Trat Racer as well, getting eaten up in the restart. Same with Shanghai. The 2 guys to focus on are the net leaders, Grogers and Owen. And now the net leader's going to challenge the leader to the outside before turn 1. Side by side. He does it. No contest whatsoever. Grogers to the lead. And big hopes for this race compared to him and Owen. He gets the upper edge in his teammate. If the championship were to end today, I know it's 6 races to go after this, but Grogers would take that championship lead over Owen, his teammate. So, big thing to focus on when it comes to this championship battle. That is why. That's a big thing to focus on. Down the inside, Grandpa trying to defend JTK right here. Defending that inside line there at turn 8. Bunch of battling here. You look at 7th on back right here. Outside line. Gonna push the issue all the way around. The Ferrari has the traction, but he runs a bit wide. Grandpa cannot get it done. It is, sorry, Trat Racer, not JTK. I think I said JTK. speaking of JTK now down the order. But gets the move done. And it is a bunch of battling, a bunch of jockeying, all now 7th on back. Make it a big battle up here. Bonkers getting overtaken by Owen. And behind that, Shanghai, Anas. They figure themselves out there from 4th place. But now, make it a difference of 2 points between Owen and Groggers. 3 if you include the pole position. Or sorry, not if you include the pole position. The fastest lap, I think. No, I'm still wrong. I shouldn't speak before I'm too confident on that. Jim Bob, Track Racer. They have settled out their differences on the track right now and get themselves situated. 9th place right there in this race. And it's now kind of holding up here at the front of the field with the older tires. Bonkers, Shanghai, Anas. Look at this. 3rd, 4th, 5th place. It's now created a big dress train. Look at the battling going to happen. Look at the jockeying position down the inside. Grandpa goes late in the brakes. Can he get it done? Yes, he can. No switchback contested. Perfectly done. And that's on medium tires versus hard tires. Oh, I think he hit the back of the McLaren there of Anas. Both on similar tire wear. Both in the same tires. You can see the throttle difference in the final corner. Some are balls to the walls. Some can do it. Some cannot. Some can overtake on the inside already. And here we go. 2 by 2. It is going to be Grandpa ahead of the McLaren. And JTK now ahead of Matt in Alpine. Behind that, Valkyrie. She gets ahead of Jim Bob. Mercedes really on the charge in this restart. They were outside the points at the start of this restart. Now both cars inside the points. Oh, ahead of that, JTK, Anas. Oh, a little bit of pushing up the track. And Anas is going to lose the points positions. Just maybe keeps it. And Grandpa, the Ferrari driver in the top 5, gets a time penalty. That is crucial for this race. And not only is it crucial for this race, but it's also crucial in the sense of the Constructors' Championship. Why, you may add? Because that gap with Alpine and that gap with Red Bull, it's just going to extend itself. Around the outside, Grandpa goes on Shanghai, making the most of that penalty, trying to gain many spots from it, pulling away now, and he's starting that quest so far, and his teammate struggles out of the the 3rd to last corner, and does it. Oh, wide as the Aston Martin Shanghai. Into the gravel he went at the penultimate corner, loses a ton of spots, and now here comes his teammate. Battle between the Ferraris up there, but battle between the Astons. Almost 3 wide right there. And I think it is Bonkers who gets the upper edge, and JTK goes around off contact with Grandpa. It is all kicking off. And speaking of that, the lead just got close once again. Owen is caught up to Groggers. This is what the difference does when your 2 championship protagonists are going at each other for the lead. This could change from 2 points ahead to a matter of 12 points ahead. That's how much the difference is. Chat, let us know what you think of the racing so far. Who is your podium prediction between? And it looks like a little bit of team game between the Ferraris. Grandpa being let go by Bonkers. It's a smart move when you think of the long term, because Grandpa probably has more pace. Bonkers yet to pit, and on those hard tires, pulling away. We did say originally some rain. It looked like originally some rain, and now it's glitched the game because the red flags being on. Look at what that does. Dry race completely. Easy, soft to hard, medium to hard. Look at what that does. Spin in the back. Again, Aston Martins are having trouble. Both are in the pit lane together. They both might have damage. The McLarens attacking one another right here. For position, was there someone almost around in front of them? Looked like there was. But all the battling going on. Here we go. Valkyrie down the inside of Matt. Mercedes versus Alpine. Matt goes wide. Valkyrie takes the position. And there you have it. Important, by the way, for this battle for the podium, too. Because if she catches Bonkers and passes Bonkers within a 3-second window, Valkyrie is on the podium. And that's kind of a comeback story after last week in a way of getting the podium taken away due to penalties. So, very noteworthy thing for the female driver. So we are now officially past halfway, and it has all kicked off. It's calmed down just a little, but the leaders still stay close, and we get the Red Bulls fighting up front after a bit of strategy game. Kind of seems like this is a repeat of 2022 with real life, with the way we're going right now with strategy game. Ferraris get screwed by strategy, Red Bulls out front, Ferrari started on pole. What do you know? Lando loses a point spot because JTK, after that spin, gets back by. And the straight line speed of the DRS did it. FPL also overtaken 2 Williams, overtaken within a span of turn 1 on the same lap. Except this time with FPL, it was from Mythic. And look at this, 4th place right now. Like I said, Valkyrie is going to be challenging. But bonkers, look at that gap. That gap came down a second between the teammate. Valkyrie dive bomb there at turn number 8. Gets by. And now the quest is to go for Grandpa within that 3-second window. Same tires. But the challenge comes back. You know he's going to be helping his teammate right here. Bonkers down the inside. Valkyrie pushes the switch back, and look at that. Contact made. Valkyrie gets the outside line working beautifully. Gets back ahead. But the problem is, though, the gap is outside 3 seconds now. So that's what that fighting did. And the only driver yet to pit in this race includes FPL and Bonkers. The change between the lead. Owen back in front. The championship lead now is 12 points. Owen in front in the championship this time over his teammate and in the race lead. Lap 21. The move has been made. Move is done. And same ERS between both Red Bull boys. So it's not like one wasted battery compared to the other. And only 2 penalties in this race, by the way. This is exactly what I guess removing the final chicane did. In some sense, it removed some penalties from the drivers. With track limits, only 2 in this race. FPL and Mythic back at it again, attacking one another. Bit of contact, I think, involved in that. But FPL gets ahead. And speaking of battles, DRS train now, 4th on back. Look at what it does. Valkyrie passed by Bonkers right there. And with that said, the gap now, 3 seconds helping the teammate. Bonkers yet to pit. Grandpa, the highest of the hard runners who has pitted. So, very noteworthy situation when it comes to the battle for the podium. Big for Ferrari to hold on if they want to challenge back for this Constructors, as Red Bull have a long string of bad races. Unlikely to happen, but still very possible. Matt and Anos. Overtake made there for 6th place. Valkyrie F1 back at it again. Is it defense time again from Bonkers? We could see the gap changing itself in the worn medium tires. The gap was a second a couple laps ago. Now it's 4 seconds. 4th place. And that's just allowing Grandpa to pull away. He's got a big smile on his face. Happy with life. Can cruise to a 3rd place finish. You know he's loving life. Valkyrie does have the fastest lap, by the way, on these hard tires. So, extra point for the end of this race. You can see sliding sideways in this dirty air. See what it does to a driver. Big thing to mention from Grandpa, if these Red Bulls do fight it out, Grandpa can challenge on track to maybe make the difference. Won't make the difference based on penalties when they're applied, but it can potentially make the difference in the race. And you saw a slide there from Bonkers from 4th place in this race. The Mercedes of Valkyrie, she's gaining time now. She's got DRS. Bonkers doesn't. Slipstream there. Similar battery. Here we go. On the run to turn 1. Outside line for the Mercedes. Late in the brakes. Outside. Once again. Can't get it done. That's the 2nd time on the outside. Now you're going to challenge yourself for turn 4. Which way can you go to make the move? 10 laps remaining in this race next time by the way. Remember, the Grand Prix's kind of been cut by 3 laps due to a glitch from the game. As Valkyrie catches Bonkers, the battle continues behind between Alpines attacking the McLaren of Anos, who does have a penalty. At this rate, we might get JTK to catch up for another position for Anos' penalty. Not enough there into turn 10. DRS once again between the two leaders and the Red Bulls. Owen's used a bit more of that battery. Grandpa's caught up on those hards. The hards are kicking in, it looks like, in this race right now. I doubt the risk would be for a puncture for Groggers and Owen, but if it is, then we'll have to find out. Bonkers finally pits. So now, Valkyrie F1 is left with a 6-second gap there to try and go challenge Grandpa, if that's possible. But he's also put back into the battle. 4th place on back. It's all the way back to 8th with these guys hungry for positions. Both McLarens, both Alpines, they're all there to fight it out now. The only guy yet to pit in this race is now FBL and then Williams. Chat, give us who you think would be your driver of the day in this race so far. From who has impressed you the most? Oh, a slide there from the Mercedes and the McLaren right there. At the small chicane before the DRS back straight. Driver of the day for me. I know he's got the penalty right now, but Anas. Penalty might drop him a few positions, but maybe him. Valkyrie F1, she deserves a shout. Groggers and Owen coming back from where they were. Yes, strategy-wise, but also on track. I don't know. There's a couple people maybe I would give the shout out to. Not driver of the day worthy, but shout out to Lando holding on to some points here today. With what we'll call his injury. Down the inside, Anas goes. Turn 1, he gets the move done. Valkyrie, she's looking to switch back, and now there's wheel banging. Sideways around the outside. Somehow she holds on to it at turn 3, and now it's going to allow Matt down the inside. More wheel banging there. Still sideways. Holy cow. Now a car is outside of Valkyrie, but Minions backs off to avoid potential collision. Oh my god. Talk about a loose race car right there. I mean, what the hell? Oh, that's what you call slideways. If you're looking for any term to use. I know it's understeer, oversteer, all of the stuff combined there with tight race car, loose race car. You had it all right there. My goodness. It doesn't help the battle for 4th place to catch Grandpa if anything happens within that top 3. Grandpa's closed the gap, almost within DRS. It's not going to make the difference with the penalty, but if he does get in the way when they're battling, it makes it very interesting. And I don't think he'll do it, but you never know. You just never know with some of these guys with how it goes. I don't think Grandpa's the one to do it, but we'll have to find out. Fastest lap there from Bonkers. Fresh tires from the pit stop. Stealing a point away. It's not going to matter now, but it will if he does reach the top 10. Here we go. Switchback time for Valkyrie. Cutting back. Inside line. Can't get it done in the Alpine. He's in an Alpine sandwich. Oh. No traction loss from Valkyrie. Struggling here, the Mercedes is. Does she go for the dive? Does she need to go for the dive with Minions close behind? Not just yet. Just looking, ducking out, looking for some way to challenge Grandpa, by the way, within DRS of the front 2. The gap is close between the leaders. Is it enough for an overtake? Here we go! Groggers! Once again! It took a little bit, but he's back by for the lead! Amazing stuff there between the Red Bulls. Championship lead changed once again. Oh my goodness. Matt also gets by Valkyrie. Big battle once again. The Aston Martin of Tri-Racer off. There's a position swap right there as well. Valkyrie F1 challenging this back. Can she get it done? Ooh, late on the brakes once again. Oh, the traction! The traction loss again! Oh, you could see the difference right there. Just what it does to a driver in dirty air with a setup that doesn't handle well in dirty air, sideways with the tires wearing, everything else combined. You can see the dirty air as well affecting Grandpa. Grandpa's caught up to this Red Bull duo. He slid right there at turn 10, turn 11 area. I'm telling you, it does something to a driver. Red Bull back at it again. Noticed an overtake before turn 1. Owen, is he close enough? Not just yet. Man, he is just fighting it out. Alpine swap, and now Minions 2-1. Here we go. Can it be 2-1 from both Alpines? Oh, there's contact on the back of the Alpine car from Valkyrie. The late braking, not beneficiary this time. Jim Bob as well getting close to JTK. Bonkers closing on Lando for points positions. It will help for the fastest lap point. Oh, here we go. Yellow flags in front. That is Trat Racer as well, not having the best races. Contact once again. Running in the back of the Alpine is Valkyrie F1. It should be mentioned, though, by the way, Red Bull would have their first 1-2 of the season if things were to stand this way from the race. Here we go. Valkyrie ducking out once again. Side by side. Off the track there. More positions being swapped once again. Trat Racer out in the pit lane. It's all going on. 5th place on back, but now it's all going on for the lead. Ducking out is Owen. Owen gets the move done. I told you Grandpa was going to be looking. He's still looking for a position, at least on track. Owen having to defend the move now with 5 laps to go. Can he do it? Grandpa as well, inside as well. Oh, Owen's off the track. What happened? Did he overtake under yellow flags? Did Grandpa overtake under yellow flags? I think that might have been what it was, with the Aston Martin retiring from the race in the pit lane, caused yellow flags in the straight. Grandpa right now is your leader, but the net leader with penalties is Groggers. And it still would result in a Red Bull 1-2 with the penalties applied, by the way, unless there's appeals. Unless there's appeals. With all this battling going on, Alpine's looking for their 3rd top 5 of the season. Big thing to mention for them. Mercedes could potentially tie their best result of the season as well. With the Ferrari of Grandpa having so much pace to get back into the lead, does Groggers have enough time to overtake him? And why this makes it so beneficial if he does. He's got a car in between him and Owen. I told you Grandpa was going to go for it. Here we go. Side by side. Minions. JTK. Turn 1. Oh, there's contact. They touched wheels. And Minions will go ahead of JTK right there. For position. Jim, Bob, and Matt, by the way, caught up. We missed the overtake between Bonkers and Lando, but that would give Bonkers a point over Lando currently with the circumstances of fastest lap. Well, I should say an additional point now. He's already in a points position, but with the fastest lap, it adds 2 points to your board and your total. With Instincts not being here, Bonkers obviously stays ahead of Instincts in the championship standings, but Bonkers would have the risk of getting overtaken by the other drivers behind him for some positions. Anas, 2nd penalty. So what this does now is it puts Bonkers into this fight for penalties if this battling continues, and if Bonkers has enough pace on those softs to mount a late charge. For the lead, turn 1, not close enough just yet. But that Aston Martin of Shanghai could play the difference in allowing some DRS here at the front of the field. Valkyrie F1 gets the move done around the outside. The penalties do matter. Remember that on us. It's a car in between Valkyrie and the next competitor without a penalty. Big thing to note in these closing stages. Now JTK trying for a 2nd Mercedes overtake in this 3rd to last lap. Owen's still running fast lap times on the warning out mediums. And the Aston Martin of Shanghai does, I think, the respectful thing right here. Doesn't do anything stupid, I guess, by getting in the way of this battle. Gets out of the way. Knows the next car probably is 12 seconds behind. Jim Bob's left a session. So, big thing when it comes to this battle for 9th place. Groggers, though, for the race lead on track around the outside with just 2 laps remaining. He knows that if he doesn't make the move now, Owen could pounce a charge and overtake him. Owen went off the track on his own. Grandpa didn't touch him. I know Grandpa didn't touch him earlier there. Oh, JTK is out of this race from a points position. He's off at turn 2. Was there contact? I don't think there was any cars close enough for contact, but what this does do is promote Bonkers to another position. Lando to another position. In the points now. I'm thinking there might have been contact now with the gap there is. I'm just sensing it. I didn't see the gaps. I was looking down for a second because I was responding to what you said, Titan. And I agree. There wasn't contact, but it looked like there was illegal overtakes because of the yellow flags in that area. And that's what I was thinking. You know, you want to give it up there instead of just appealing it. All that crazy stuff. So, yeah. JTK, late crash in the race. Gets him out of a point spot. But now it's the final lap where the points are going to be offered now. Bonkers ahead of Jim Bob after Jim Bob does rejoin the session. So Bonkers could potentially take advantage of another position with Anos's penalty. And with that strategy loss, that's what that does. Potentially a 7th place position. The teammates now, for the race win on penalties, are fighting it out. And for what is the championship lead. Owen, you saw him right on the gearbox of Groggers, but now is time to mount a charge and mount an overtake between the Red Bulls. It's better late than never. Three-tenths the gap. Is Owen close enough now? He's going to have to go later on the brakes. Rory's done beautiful today with pace over the Red Bulls. I think they had the upper edge, but with the timing in the safety car, the strategy, I think it was just Grandpa. And Owen loose there at the final corner. That's going to lose his chance for the race victory. Grandpa comes across the line to win the race first. However, his penalties applied, meaning Groggers is the third win for Red Bull, and he takes the championship lead with it. Groggers makes it Red Bull's first 1-2 of the season. Valkyrie F1, she holds on to 4th place, making it Mercedes' best result of the season and Valkyrie's best result of the season now. Minions 5th place. Matt overtakes Anyas for positions with penalties. Bonkers and Jim Bob side by side there, or maybe not even side by side, but just 17,000 separate them for a position with points. Lando in the points for Williams. Big days all throughout the field. Red Bull get their first 1-2 of the season. And Mythic becomes the last guy to cross the line. Yeah, so Groggers gets Red Bull's 3rd win of the season. And it does become the championship lead with it. How about that? 2 points, I think. I don't think anyone stole the fastest lap there at the end from either Valkyrie or Bonkers. So there you have it. Excuse me for the little mess up there about how many wins it was for Groggers and all the kind of stuff there between those guys. But how about that for a little race here in Spain? I liked it. I thought it was a good race for Spain. I personally think the last chicane being removed helps the racing in the run down to turn 1. It's amazing for league racing. Before you exit off the stream, I know some of you are about to. Let's go over some of the races for this weekend, okay? Tier 1 tomorrow. It's the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix in Imola. Their 5th race of the season. F2 as well. F2 has Portugal, one of my personal favorite tracks on the calendar. I love it. It was my last league race for a certain league. I don't know if we're going to get results with the way we're going with the timer. But take a look at your final results. Lando, after that crash from JTK late in the race, ends up giving him a point spot. Bonkers gets promoted another place. Jim Bob loses out in a couple points positions. It all was kicking itself off. I'm amazed with all the battling today. Big battles, Alpine, McLaren, Mercedes. That was the battle of the midfield. Ferrari had the upper edge in pace, but it was just not enough with the strategy and the timing of the safety car. Red Bull kind of gained back what they lost last week with the timing of the safety car, and there you have it. Red Bull won too. Grandpa as well, kind of messing up with the penalties. I think it would have been interesting to see what he could have done if it wasn't for the penalties, because he won the race on track. So there you have it. Couple things to focus on for the rest of this weekend. I believe I join you guys for F2. I'll check with them to be 100% just because I want it to be accurate for tomorrow. We saw Scyther get disqualified from a glitch in the game last week at Monza. That made a hole in the championship. And realistically what it did is it changed the gap. He would have extended that gap. And I'm shaking after the way that kind of went, I must say. At the end there. 19 points between Skither and Valkyrie. Okay, personal question before I end off the stream. Skither or Scyther? I don't think it matters which one. I really don't. I hear two different pronunciations of the names, so I personally don't care as long as he's okay with whatever it is. And as long as you guys are okay with whatever it is too. But yeah, 19 points of the difference for the F2 title as well. Searles versus High Tech for the Drivers' Championship. And it's also Searles versus Trident there for the Constructors' Championship. The Constructors' Championship for Tier 1, which you better focus on tomorrow with Imola. Red Bull versus Ferrari. Battle for third with Mercedes and Aston Martin. The driver standings, it's a Ferrari at the top of the table. Then Ty and Barrett, 9 points back. Reese, 9 points back from the next car, which is his teammate. A lot of things to focus on in tomorrow's Grand Prix. F2, that is at 11 something. I don't know if it's altered due to the sprint, but for F1, make sure you wake up early for the sprint shootout and the sprint race as well tomorrow. I hope there's some running. You know, I'll be honest. Let's say, for example, the sprint stuff is canceled for tomorrow due to weather. I'm just hoping there's a race this time for Belgium, as long as it's safe enough to do so, but I hope there's not a repeat of 2021. And speaking of races safe enough to go on, we will have races that go on tomorrow. F2, like we mentioned. Imola. There's always a good chance for rain around Imola. I love Imola. With the long straight. Let's say it's dry. Such a long straight to pass. Portugal I love even more, though, just because of the nature of the battling at that track. It seems like regardless of DRS with the main straight and the run to turn 5, turn 4, I think it's turn 5. Just so much places to overtake throughout the whole track, so focus on those races tomorrow, guys. 11 Eastern-ish for F2 Eastern time, 4 UK time for F2 at Portugal, round number 5 of the season. Some interesting teams have been on the podium. Some interesting amount of drivers have been on the podium. So watch out for that as well tomorrow. Tier 1 is as well tomorrow. Titan, the usual guy for Tier 1. Man, he's done it for so long. He's back on comms for tomorrow. Watch out for him with what he provides. 3 Eastern, 8 UK. Imola, Tier 1. Man, if we saw what we saw between the Red Bulls and Ferraris today, and you take us to a track like Imola, I think it could be close. And you know what? 9 points between each driver from each other, really, in a way. 9 points from first to second to third. There's 9 points separating them. In for a good fight for the rest of the season for the championship. Longer season for Tier 1, as we all know. Shorter season for F2. That is why these championship battles that we talk about now, compared to someone like Titan, who might not... I don't know if he talks about it as much, I'll be honest, but compared to something like that, right, from Tier 1 to F2 and Tier 2. It's why this championship is so important. Next week for Tier 2 and F2 will be at the halfway point of the season. Like I said, tune in tomorrow. I don't know if we'll be commentating F2, but let's find out. What a race we had on our hands today at Spain. Ferraris were fast, but it looks like Red Bulls ended up executing on every other level and got themselves a 1-2 finish. So, that is about it. Tune in tomorrow for the races. Don't miss the action here for RPL Xbox One. Say Xbox, it's Xbox One on the account, but it's also other platforms to race in this league. Like I mentioned, we have a lot of dedicated drivers in this league, so that's what should be appreciated most. But now it's time to turn over the action to F2 tomorrow and Tier 1 tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day, everybody, and until next time, have a good one and enjoy the action. Bye!